time now. So let's play hockey.
Welcome to the Let's Play Hockey podcast. We're actually at the Let's Play Hockey Expo. It is semifinal Friday. Hibbing Chisholm just advanced to the Class A final. Didn't get a chance to catch a lot of the game. You guys probably didn't get a chance to catch much either, but I know I think we all had Hibbing going.
We did.
And getting past Matamidi there. Looks like it was a close game, 3-1, and then it ended up 4-2. And now Delano is up 2-0 to Rip on War Road, which is kind of a surprise.
Yeah. End of one, right?
End of one.
Yep.
So this podcast won't come out until well after the tournament, or hopefully not too far out of the tournament. But so far, the games have been good. The quarterfinals, not as much separation maybe as we anticipated. And, it's always great hockey here. But the quarterfinals were good. All four top seeds in both classes advanced, so no surprises, no upsets. But close games. You guys been able to watch? Any thoughts so far on the product on the ice? Anything stand out to you?
Well, I think you guys were almost 8 for 8. I went 7 of 8 because I went full Costanza mode on the Edina pick.
I think Bonin picked Andover,
that's
too.
That's right. He picked Andover, too. That's right.
I guess there's one smart guy in this podcast.
Yeah, exactly. But it was pretty shaky for Edina in that second and third period. They kind of disintegrated a little bit on themselves and kind of hung on for dear life. It looked like a Wayzata matchup. So we'll see what happens. But I think the most interesting game for me was the Rosemount Grand Rapids tilt yesterday and the way that it ended. I don't know if you guys got to see the ending there, the little bit controversial non-call, but maybe Bonin's got some thoughts on that overall.
Yeah, I always have some thoughts, but I just wonder the nerves of a ref that get involved in the game too, and back to our comments couple pods back, there's influence on a referee as well, and I think in general we have this swallow your whistle, and so that's kind of what you're going to get. How much of a scoring chance is it going to create? That's usually my concern. Sometimes you can get away with a call here and there, but they can just determine the game. So, you maybe go back to our get better comments that we've said often, though, is don't get yourself in that position. If you're going to get that tight in a game, which some of these other games got way tighter than I thought. That Moorhead game last night, this is what happens in the state tournament. And this is what happens in sections, too. And the game can go another way quickly, or Edina, boom, 3 goals, and then all of a sudden they struggle. So, again, that's why, boys, we've got to be focused here. We got to stick with it here, because if it gets close, we might miss a call and or get a call. That's how this is going to go, and we can't just blame the ref that one time.
Yeah, never take your foot off the gas.
Well, I think Edina, that happened, and Andover had that offsides, that goal disallowed, and that was huge. I think they made the right call, but that doesn't get called before replay, and now it's 3-2 game. Ice is tilting a little bit in Andover's favor, and then maybe your guys' prediction would have panned out, because they were right there.
Wait a sec, that's true. Now I'm really mad. Review, and I actually hate the review too. Half the time it's so close. Then we got to review everything. Has always been my take, but we should have been correct. Maybe
to bring it up, Bonin's right. We actually were correct. It would have been a 4-3, shoulda, woulda, coulda. It would have been a 4-3 game, but there was the mandatory review, and then there was 2 pipes that were hit. So
net was off a bit. I bet they didn't set the net back.
Probably.
Could have.
Bjorgard's got that wide split deal, and I think his right skate knocked off the net, and 2 pipes.
Yep.
Those cake eaters, I'm telling you. But that review, so there's your 3 goals, 4-3 Andover and onward, and 8 for 8 for Bonin and me, but what can you do?
Yeah. Well, it's tough to go 8 for 8, let me tell you. Let's talk about Edina a little bit, and, they do seem to come out. They came out strong, fast, hard. McConnell gets 3, off the get. It's like this guy's going to end up with 6 goals tonight.
He almost got a 4th.
Yeah.
I mean, the next couple of shifts,
And Andover,
Close.
to me, looked a little sloppy and a little slow to start, but I don't know if that was because of Edina's play, because then as the game went on, Andover got a lot better, and Edina didn't play as well. They can't do that against Moorhead.
No.
I mean, and I don't think Moorhead played their best game yesterday either. So I think we're going to see a battle tonight. And again, this pod's going to come out after the fact. But one thing on the going back to the Rosemount game, and Bonin, you and I talked about this. Again, another goal where a player gets the puck, cuts to the middle of the ice, and the defensive gaps just weren't there. And how many goals have we seen now scored from the top of the slot, almost on a 1-on-2 or 2-on-2 situation?
Yeah, well, one of the Cullen goals, McConnell, one of those goals.
Yeah.
And it's a lefty cut into his backhand on the blue line there. Too big of a gap by the defenseman. And shooting back across your body, which maybe if you shoot low. So I got to tell you, go back to the sections. And now these 3 goals yesterday, I didn't like any of them. The goalie has to save that. And as a lefty, you should be shooting low blocker on that anyways, or maybe low glove 5-hole. So for those the goalie should be expecting and wanting a glove save. They can't get their blocker down, but their glove can go anywhere. So I got to tell you, I'm a little disappointed in that in the goaltenders. So sorry, fellas, but you got to make that save. Now, let's get into the gap. Way too big. Way too big.
I
It's
don't
intimidating,
understand
but too big.
all the ice that they're just leaving, from between the blue line and the tops of the circles.
Oh,
I mean, it's just like, come on in.
it's too
You
big.
know?
Yeah,
So
those-
for the defenseman out there, again, I'm a forward, so I could probably get ripped on by a couple of D coaches. But when you have a decent gap and down comes a forward on his offhand,
Gap up.
you gotta gap up,
Right.
but also just know you want to chase him to the corner, and he's on his backhand then.
Yeah.
So don't let him slow up and cut and get second flow, and just know that even when he's kind of beating you, you can beat him to the post, and he's on his backhand. So keep him out there. There's nothing worse than a good lefty on his offhand. Wayne Gretzky, Sidney Crosby, some of those guys. So that's what I found to be amazing. Like, you want him on the outside. Give it to him. Stay in the middle as much as possible.
They're
and
not
just-
taking up the middle of the ice,
Right.
And even in the neutral zone, it doesn't seem like that's happening as much either. It's
No.
like the D are just backing up and almost letting them with the zone entry, but they're not forcing them to the outside. Or, sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. When they don't, it's really cost them.
really has.
I mean, you wonder if they're being instructed, strategy-wise, just stay home, protect the nut front, drift back a little. That's in their head, and then they get out there, and there's the crowd and the bright, beautiful ice, the bright lights, and then they're kind of mentally on their heels, and then it ends up manifesting physically on their heels, and it's like, God, I should have got up down that play. Oops, too late, goal.
Well, and how many coaches probably preach, don't let anyone get behind you.
Right. True.
So don't let them get behind you. Well, okay, I'm just going to keep backing up then. It's like, well, all right, I'll take in front of you then. Oh, now I got you to screen your goalie here. I'm just going to fire one through you, and hopefully it goes in.
Right.
Yeah, too much
It's-
time and space there.
It's that bend but don't break, prevent D that we see in the NFL, and any Vikings fans out there knows how that always ends. So gap up, be smart, aggressive, use your stick, and just follow the guy's waistline, and you'll be okay.
Question for you guys. Let's say you got you're going into the semifinals tonight, Class AA, and you're the head coach. You're playing Minnetonka. What's your game plan and what's your message? I'm kind of dropping this on you. I mean, you're going against the top seed. They're
They're
big,
good.
physical D.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just good. How do you make a game of that? I mean, how do you give them your best game?
You watch both Edina games against Tonka. You practice that. You strategize it. You map it out on the chalkboard or the whiteboard, and you say, gap up, hit everything in blue that you see, get pucks on net, and if you think you shouldn't shoot, shoot anyway. Jerdy's a good goalie, but not of the quickest feet. Get him moving laterally. And if you do go 5-hole and keep it low, I'd rather have you paint the corners high. But if you go low, hit 5-hole, God bless the kid, but he's a little bit leaky 5-hole. And just be aggressive and leave nothing to chance. Just let it go. This is the semis. or the finals. Grip it, rip it, hit everything you see.
That's tough too because we all know there's a championship game coming up, and I don't think it probably gets into the players or coaches' heads, but they're going to be tired tomorrow. Every championship game is tired kids, so you got to be a little bit smart with that too and be
true.
If we get there, it's got to be adrenaline for tomorrow. It typically is. It's the last game of the year. So going into that too and thinking about my perspective here is Rosemount's going to be the underdog, but they got a nice skating team. So can we just get up in their faces? And I think I mentioned to you guys last pod, one of the things I'd like to coach on all the time was pass it or lose it. And so make sure you just don't get beat by that guy. So get in there, take a great angle, maybe bump him a little, but let's play with speed and good angles and just make him pass it. And he might lose it and make him pass it. Don't try to get it. Let's just keep in their face so we can keep up with Taka and maybe frustrate them a little bit. And then some results of turnovers happen. Sometimes when you try so hard, you get beat by a guy, now you're all scrambling. And so that's what I actually thought happened to Andover last night. They got buzzed so much by Edina.
Yep.
And then they try to make a play, and then they make a turnover.
Mm-hmm.
One of those goals was a bad turnover.
Yep.
And it's because you're trying to make these plays instead of say, hey,
they got sloppy. They did.
But it's nerves.
Yeah.
And I think it's this idea of I got to go get the puck or I got to make a play. And the answer a lot of times, especially against a really good team, is you got to make really, really smart plays. We can't allow ourselves to get beat by a dumb mistake. So I'm thinking Rosemount tonight, because we can't just sit back. We're going to have to take it to them on that front. And I see it as Edina, same thing. So Giles may be having to, how do we step up a little bit with our speed? Because if we sit back, Moorhead will get through that. So we gotta actually play both sides of the puck tonight.
Yeah. I mean, Rosemount, they've slayed the beast twice now, right? I mean, GR maybe on paper not the beast that St. Thomas was or that Minnetonka is, but still, GR's always tournament tested and ready to go, well coached. They play tough. And they always have a good sophomore goalie on the rise, right? But I think Cade Sherman's going to come through. Gavin McNeil's a playmaker. He'll get the puck distribution going. But, whether it's Tonka, Edina, Moorhead, don't watch them skate. Don't look at how fast they are. Just man your responsibilities. Hit good, clean body shots. Sustain your forecheck. And any glimmer of light that you can get that puck off on net, shoot it. Every time.
Yeah, I think they're trying to be too cute and trying to get behind the D. I mean, just throw pucks on net, crash the net, look for those second, third chances. Because that Minnetonka D they're going to be tough to beat,
They are. I mean, if you think about that at kind of any level, it's the adjustment of a player over time. And this is hard for high school kids. But if you're chasing down a McKinnon, you got to be thinking a different way. If you're chasing down Brock Faber and you're trying to forecheck him, you just can't get beat by Faber. Because if he beats you, you're in big trouble. But if you could skate with him and angle him and make him get rid of that puck, that's kind of what I mean by this. Even at this level, you get on the ice and you're flying, and a coach is telling you to get in guy's face, and so you go, but you got bad gap on a forecheck.
Mm-hmm.
You got to realize that and just go, I got to just make sure, I don't get beat here. And Minnetonka's got just too many weapons.
Well, and that, one of the aspects of I think being a good hockey player, and you and I talked about it, Brian, is knowing the angles, and how it doesn't come down to a foot. It comes down, or an inch. It's like centimeters.
Yep.
A forecheck doesn't mean you go down and you bang the guy into the back wall. It means that you're taking an angle on him and you're forcing him into a small area where he has to maybe make a hard pass, a tough pass, and now that maybe creates a turnover. And the players, and we talked about Faber, how he is so good at angling against forwards deep in our zone, how he just manages to get his body in a position where they can't get to the net. They can't make a good play close in. And you talked about Spurgeon kind of being the same, smaller guy, but he could skate. But his angling is outstanding. It's a part of the game I don't think that gets talked about enough. And you can see some really good players who don't understand the angling aspect of playing hockey, that maybe that's where their plus minus isn't as good as it could be or should be,
It goes back a little bit to our cut to the middle, some of those goals. It's hard to teach it because they're younger kids, but I could still see it in the teams I
Well,
coach. being
can
a
you
player.
teach it, or is it instinct? I mean,
Well, part of it is learning as you go because there's some instinct. But what you don't realize sometimes as a player, a good player, but really any player wants to make great plays. So when you give them something, they sometimes don't want that. They want the option. So a good player wants to make a play. So if you come at them kind of slow, get your stick out and push them away, a direction, and they're like, well, wait a sec. So it's open over there, but I have to go that way, which means I'm forced to make this play. Good players don't like that. They want you coming straight at them.
hard.
Yep,
Yeah.
that's what they want. And so sometimes it's hard, like you just said, a forecheck. Well, I got to go hard, coach. No, I need you to push them somewhere. So the second pass we're going to pick off.
Right.
If you don't do it right the first guy, we're never going to get the second one.
Right.
Because you're giving Faber 2 options.
Right.
Well, now we're screwed.
Well, and even if you take that guy out and he makes a good outlet pass, now it's 4-on-4. Fine, it's still even, but they have the puck, so it's not even. And you don't want 4-on-4 with them with the puck, because now they're trying to create 2-on-1s all over the ice. So even if you get that first guy, but he makes the right pass, that's not a good forecheck, in my opinion.
Yep. Yep, I see that more at back end. There's a couple guys there that are just really dangerous. So
Is that something that's, as a scout, Tom, that you kind of look at or that you see, okay, that kid knows how to take away space, that kid,
Absolutely. For a defenseman especially, I mean, whether, they're up and maybe the puck's turned over and then they go into forecheck mode and the forwards have pushed up the ice and the D kind of lays back a little bit and there might be a breakaway that they got to defend. Then as they get through, the neutral zone and then get back into their spots in their own zone, it's all about rotation. But before the rotation comes as Bonin was alluding to, it comes the positioning with the defenseman. And that's getting them off to the boards. That's what the Wild's good at. Faber, Quinn Hughes. They're not the biggest defensive core, right? But they steer, they pin, they seal. And then everybody can rotate, accordingly, and especially on a PK, which has made them a little bit better this year. It's about steering and pin and seal, create that turnover with a good poke check, lift the stick, and you pivot once and you're out of the zone in one quick pass. And that's where I see Edina struggling a little bit. As good as of a D-core as they have, they kind of get a little bit panicky. They got some youth on D still, with Brooks Suter perhaps is a good example. He's so talented, but he's just still young. So every 2 good plays, there's a step back, and it's like, oh, I'm going to dump the puck, and now there's an icing. Neat, everybody gets a breath, but now we can't.
Now you got to win a face-off.
Right, and you keep putting that pressure on. You can't do that against Moorhead. You can't do that against Tonka. I mean, they'll just bury you. And if you take 5 penalties, Andover converts their power plays last night. They were, I think 1 for 5. They convert 3 for 5, 2 for 5. All of a sudden, it's a different game, let alone the 2 pipes and the review for the officials. But tonight's game with Edina Moorhead could get out of control quick because Edina's such a Jekyll Hyde squad. You just never know what you're going to get.
I think Giles has a game plan, and I think it's probably going to be a good one.
He is the Jedi Master. There's
the
no
problem
doubt
is
about it.
they got so many weapons. I mean, if you shut down, if you shut down Bergeson, you got to deal with Zimmerman. If you shut down him, you got to deal with Cullen. If you shut down Cullen, you got to deal with Cullen. And if you shut down all the forwards, you got to deal with Mickelson.
And Max Cullen might be the guy.
This Let's Play Hockey podcast brought to you by Carboni's Pizza. Carboni's Pizza has been a staple in Minnesota since 1954. With their special ingredients and secret recipe, Carboni's is a perfect option for your post-game meal or your postseason team party or banquet. And Carboni's even caters. Carboni's provides the easiest pizza catering for events across Minnesota with more than 30 locations in and around the Twin Cities metro area. And it doesn't stop at just pizza. Their full menu is available for your event, which means there's something for everyone. Choose from tasty pizzas, calzones, salads, pasta, chicken wings, and more. Check them out at www.carbonis.com and find a location near you.
I mean, wow.
Well, let's go back to my last pod. Now you're
Yes.
telling me I went 8 for 8, and I said Max Cullen was
You
gonna
did.
kind of emerge in this tournament.
You did.
So far, he's won. He had a good game.
But I got the Cash Hardy on my back, so I got that.
You do got that
And
one.
he's gonna. I'm telling you, Cash Hardy. Bonin will tell you he knows where to be when. When it's time to cash the check, Cash Hardy's in line first. That's all there is to it.
And that's the instinct part. Can
Yes.
you teach that? Or do kids? And when do they learn it? Is that something? Bon, and you've coached at every level. Tom, you watched so much hockey. Is that something that kids have out of the gate? Is it something that
It's
they
both.
learn slowly? Because I've coached kids where it just never clicks. Good players, but they don't have that, the instinct. Can
It's hard.
Can it be taught?
I think yes, it's always taught in the sense that it needs a little bit of massaging.
How do you teach it though?
But it's hard because there's so many facets to it. Like as you're teaching it, you better have that God-given talent behind the scenes, because you can tell a kid over and over about certain space and time. But the hockey game, that's what makes our game so great, is you can kind of give a concept, but it's all about that timing and gap of every play at all times. Like when you go to the back door, when last night that I think it was the first goal for McConnell for Edina. It's a bad turnover, and the guy comes around. He's coming right down the pipe, and he should shoot it. But last second, he sees McConnell over there, but he's a lefty. Now McConnell's he's got to have a good angle. It's really hard to teach someone on a one-timer right there to shoot the right kind of one-timer, but have your body and don't go too far, don't go too low, that's all timing, because that thing happens in a split second. So you could tell every player that. Let's say after that play goes and he doesn't score, you could tell every player that. Very few will figure that out, because the next one will be just a touch different. And just so it's conceptually this like street hockey, boot hockey,
Yeah,
score
and
goals versus playing defense is a whole different set of like, how do you teach that?
because you learn so much on the pond. We did growing up. I don't know if kids skate on the pond as much as we did. They don't, because they're in the rink 6 nights a week, and all weekend. It's like, okay, I get a break. I'm going to play video games. But I think that's where a lot of kids learn. It's just the unsupervised hockey that just they don't get enough of, where they got to figure stuff out on their own, and they don't have a coach blowing the whistle, stopping the play and saying, hey, you're there, you should be over here, rather than just dropping the puck. And I'm not saying coaches just should let them be a free-for-all. There's got to be some system hockey there. But is there too much system hockey that kids aren't gaining enough instinct at the youth levels?
The freewheeling, the timing with your friends on the pond. It's one thing on the ice. It's one thing in, the summer training. But there's just that, you can get 70, 80% of its coaching. There's genetics involved. Is my dad an ex-coach? Does he help me? Does he help?
Because that helps.
It does. And, hey, when we watch the NHL or the NCAA D1, watch this guy. See what he did here? Remember how we talked about that last winter against Orono or Delano or, Hill Murray? And remember that play that you made and you dropped back and you didn't gap up? That's exactly what Bobby Brink did. That's what Quinn Hughes did. Oh, okay, I remember that now. But then it goes away when you're playing Elite League, and it goes away when you're playing against Tonka, and it's a division battle, or it's against Wyzetta, and it's a section final, under the big lights, and all that goes away. Or is it the kid who's got that innate ability to mentally process it, handle that in real time on the ice? That's what makes Quinn Hughes, right?
Well,
he
that's right.
sees the game.
Well, he's got a supercomputer hockey brain,
Like he's
I mean,
playing
it's
pool.
like he's AI and everyone else is Apple computer still.
The game to Quinn Hughes, it's geometry.
Yeah.
It's now a science of where to go and when and positioning, and it's just that you can't teach. I don't think that's God-given. That's innate talent.
I think it is too.
That element to that level.
Split second, back to the gap you talked about. So you got all this. I'm trying to figure out what the different categories are going to actually be now, because the hockey game is so advanced from my time, our time. Where it's so advanced now.
Our
where
time.
I was saying about gapping earlier with you, that the gap part is you got to know the other players. You got to know what hand they are. You got to know their tendencies now. You and I didn't do that.
No.
I mean, there was none of that. So now we've added that facet to it. So it leads me more to like the 3-on-3 rink, like the rink, not side by side or cross ice. 3-on-3, 4-on-4, and 5-on-5. We need a 3-season, and you as a child need to play all those because you got to get in these situations and consistently do them, and you get both offense and defense. Because when you're playing 3-on-3 and you have to take a 2-on-1 as a forward, you start to learn angles, sticks.
Absolutely.
You start to use your feet where you actually give something and you learn to take it away
Mm-hmm.
because you know what they're going to try to do. If you give it, then I know he's going to try this, so then I'm going to take it. And so I say that, and then I'll add to it, like I played very few games in the NHL. I still at times will watch some of these games at the NHL level, and I'll remember a game facing off against Joe Sakic. And I got to tell you, I had a decent college career, but I'm telling you, that's a whole different game. Like I actually maybe could have nightmares about it. It was so hard and so advanced from where I was at. So I had some decent hockey sense. And then you move it up to another level. And you need now that hockey sense to come around to the way these other players.
The speed.
So yeah, training camp with Jaromir Jagr. My hockey sense had to take a whole nother level because his was unbelievable. He could see the whole ice. He and Lemieux were doing things that I had to now step that up, and I would have needed a couple years to figure it out.
Well, and there's probably hundreds of people that skated better than Wayne Gretzky, but they weren't Wayne Gretzky. And a lot of people can skate well, and you see them in practice, and they're just a different player once the game starts. I mean, Jagr, great hockey players, but it's their brain that just works at a different level that really makes them great.
It's like chess.
You know?
Right? It's like chess.
And by the way, Bonin, you used to give me nightmares when I had to face off against you in high school. And now you're my 6 degrees to Joe Sakic.
Hey, how about that? Like, yeah, some of those guys. Well, I would just say that and say it last. I have so much respect for these kids because the game is so much faster and more difficult. And it's scary out there for a bunch because it's happening so fast. So I say that. What that means is it ran me over, so I know what they're up against. It's that hard. Because you asked, can we teach it? Well, we can kind of teach it, but buckle up for this roller coaster ride because you're never stop learning. You just never stop having to learn and teach.
But you have to be willing to learn, and you have to. So when you're watching the Wild play and you're a defenseman, you got to watch what Quinn Hughes is doing on offense. You got to watch what Faber's doing on defense. You can't care, what the celly looks like. I think too many kids give a rip about, oh, he's got, he's wearing Warrior gloves. Those are awesome, It's like, do you see what he just did? They're like, no, I was looking at his gloves, and they're worried about the cool parts of the game and not the dirty things that you got to do to be a successful hockey player.
Don't you want to watch me toe drag one more time?
Yes, I do. The toe drag is one of my favorites of all time.
At the state tournament, when it counts the most.
Oh,
Son, I love the skills. Save it for the Elite League. Let's just move the puck and fire away at the net.
Yeah. One more point on pucks on net. We see it in the NHL where they're trying to go cross ice constantly, right, on the power play especially. We're seeing that more in high school where usually it used to be get to the point and take a whack at it and get it on net, and let's see if we can just get a garbage goal down low. You're seeing I don't think they shoot enough on power plays. I don't know. You guys seeing the same thing?
Yes, definitely. And it's kind of that part of it is the lost art of the one-timer, the classic slap shot.
Yep.
It's all, oh, my puck's on the stick.
Absolute Filth. Absolute Filth is the best smelling, highest quality wax on the market. They have 3 different level grips on their tachometer. They have light, everyday, and super. From Northern Lights to Blue Line Rush to Dragon's Blood to Cake Eater. Absolute Filth has your stick covered. You can find these flavors and more at www.hockeywax.com, at hockey retail outlets throughout the land. And of course, they will be at the Let's Play Hockey Expo March 6th and 7th, which is right around the corner. I'll see you there.
What you will. What are those levels again? What are their their names for the?
They got a light, an everyday, and a super. So they got different levels of wax. It's called a tachometer. So if you want kind of a more sticky, less sticky.
Sure.
When I played, I was head to heel to toe wax.
Yeah, the Lester Hayes of Hill Murray.
Yeah, absolutely. But they got Dragon's Blood, Blue Line Rush, Cake Eater. You got to check them out. The graphics that they
That's
have are super
that's
cool.
fantastic.
Where was this when I was a kid? Yeah.
That's just great. And I love the Game of Thrones vibe. And then, well, let's name this one Cake Eater.
Cake Eater. I figured you like that one.
Dragon's Blood. And then Cake Eater. That's great.
Yeah. So yeah, absolute filth. Good people run that company, Minnesota-based company, and check them out. www.hockeywax.com.
Let me scan. Okay, I still feel it. Look down at the puck on my stick. Now I'm gonna fire. That defender's in position. It's too late. You're 2 seconds too late.
But you just don't see a lot of shots from the top of the point.
No.
From the point man. It's all trying to get down to the weak side or strong side
And
winger.
And I think the separators, I mean, there's a lot, but the team that has defensive scoring, yes, secondary scoring is important, but the team that gets defensive scoring, like a Becker Wenkes, Brandon Mickelson, Tate Hardacre on Tonka, you get those defensive players that give you points, not on a power play, still 5-on-5. That is a huge separator, and I think that's a key to winning games in the semis and finals.
One more key I think that could determine who wins this thing is who's in the best shape, because these kids are freaking tired right now and they're just gassed. And whatever coaches do nowadays to condition in November and December and January, now is when it's going to pay off. But you're going to find out which kids or what teams do condition, because if you got to shorten your bench, that's a huge gamble, because you're putting yourself out there. If they're rolling 3 lines yet, and you're going to go down to 2.
So that's where you get those good plays, smart plays. Chip outs, dump ins, good dump ins, because you got to conserve your energy, as much as possible. And that's hard to do for these young kids too. I still think if you go back to like angling, this idea of, I love to coach this way, like, hey, when it's your turn to go, you got to go because everybody's counting on you. But everybody else got to play smart. We can't all go or they're going to come right past us, So when it's your turn, go. And when the next guy go. And then when you get to this point, it really comes down to this team concept that I think, instead of this being like, I take long shifts or I want more ice or I want this or that, I love teaching kids, you're like, listen, you're supposed to get tired in this game. So if you go hard, the attitude should be, I'm going to go out and give my best, and I'm going to be so freaking tired after I go my 20 seconds that I'm coming to the bench. And you better go cover me. Instead of it being this like, well, am I going to stay out, make a play? Am I going to, no, because I'm so tired. I actually have to come off, and I need you that bad, which means I need the second line and the third line and probably a fourth. Mm-hmm. And I think sometimes kids forget this, and I did it too. You try to stay out a little longer. Mm-hmm. Coaches yelling at you, short shifts. It should be much more of I only got 30 seconds. Because if I stay longer and I lose my legs, we're toast.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for tonight too. Short shifts for the big lines, because guys got 3 periods.
Right.
We don't have to win this in the first 5 minutes.
Right.
Right.
I think that's often overlooked, and maybe something that the average hockey fan doesn't recognize. It's just, and you can tell a long shift, you get bottled up in your zone and the shifts get long.
And then you got a power play happens. Then you got a penalty
that's
kill.
When you take that's when you take a dumb penalty. Right. You get lazy. Happens all the time.
The legs feed the wolf.
But I don't know if coaches condition like we were conditioned back in the day. I mean, I remember our Bantam practices. I mean, it was 15-minute power play, 45 minutes of skating,
Giles does. I can speak to that.
Does he?
Yeah. Oh, boy. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Yeah, and you need that stop and start. People also don't understand sometimes how hard it is. Finishing checks takes so much energy out of you. So there's a little bit of that tonight. Like, do you think we're really going to beat up? There's some big hits last night on Moorhead.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed, and players don't like that. But you waste a lot of energy doing that. So it better be a really good hit, and it better be a really good effort, because if you don't really prevent them from doing something, you're tired now.
Yeah.
And the energy is needed.
Well, it's almost like the video games, with the battery. If their battery is more than yours and like you're dying over here, I mean, they got the advantage, right? I mean, just to, yeah.
That's exactly what Bonin said. That's how Tonka beat Moorhead. Granted, back in mid-December, but it was at Moorhead, and they did have Joey Cullen that game for 2/3 of the game. But we'll see what happens.
If it's Moorhead, Minnetonka in the finals, is Joey the difference?
No.
No?
I think he'll be exciting to watch, and you'll go, this kid is special. He is the top 2010 in the country. I think it's a secondary player. I think a Max Cullen. I think someone on their third line, maybe a Drew Cortan, depth defenseman, is on a power play, a second-team power play, and gets a puck at the top and fires it in. It's that depth, defensive blue line scoring that I think the top teams with the top two lines, tend to cancel each other out. So depth and defensive scoring, I think, sometimes is the separator.
All right, let's talk Minnesota Wild a little bit. We got Bonin's going to step out here.
See you, Bonin.
He's got to get on a phone call. We are at the Let's Play Hockey Expo, and there's a lot going on here, lots of activities, lots of fans
He's
checking
the
out
second
the
busiest
latest and greatest.
person here besides you, huh?
Well, my wife will say she's busier than me, so I'm third, I guess.
You're third.
I'll
He's
third.
second.
He's
okay.
second, yeah.
Smart.
Wild made
you're well drilled.
Wild made some big moves today.
Oh boy, this whole week.
Yeah. I like the Foligno signing. I think having the brothers, the fact that he has not won a cup, I think it just kind of brings a little bit of a guy with an appetite and some energy.
I think that's direct depth replacement of Marcus, perhaps, who might be 2-3 weeks out, maybe longer. We don't really know.
And then they got rid of Hinostroza.
Yep.
Which I think he's,
He had some good battle effort.
I liked him. I really did. I thought, he could be a 15 to 20 goal guy maybe in a couple years. But obviously anyone and everyone's expendable at this time of year when you're trying to make a deep playoff run.
Right.
Bobby Brink, Minnetonka kid.
He's fun to watch.
Bringing him on board, former first, I think he was a first rounder back in 2020.
2020 sounds right.
We'll see what he brings.
Yep.
Are we better today than we were yesterday?
We picked up Robbie Fabry from St. Louis, journeyman. That's for depth. That's an insurance policy. He might spend, 6 out of 7 games in the first round up in the box, but he's there. Same with Jeff Petrie, veteran defenseman. He's pushing 40, but he's smart. He can eat up some minutes, but I think, again, he's an insurance policy that's going to be up in the booth quite a bit. But these are smart, strategic moves, depth moves. So we're not just, X out, what do we got? Spurgeon's hurt again, what do we got? Nothing. I think we've got insurance policies, so it's hard to fault them. I think of all of them, Mike McCarron's the most significant move. Third line, fourth line center, 6'6", 230. I kind of had him written down on my list for July 1st free agency, but now he's here. So, but we did give up another second-round pick, so now we don't have a second round. The Wild are without a second-round pick for the next 3 years. They don't have one until 2029.
Well, they're going to have to play the free agent game, which is what they're probably planning on doing.
That's summer for sure, July 1st, yeah.
But you got to gamble either way. I mean, it's a lot easier, I think, to play the free agent market because you know more of what you're getting. It's hard to give up draft picks, but I think we got a window here that we got to really take a stab at it.
And I think Guerin played the right game. Trocheck at New York and Robert Thomas at St. Louis, they just wanted way too much.
And I don't know if Billy G wouldn't have done it. I don't know if we had enough to give.
Correct.
Because
somebody wrote an article about that.
Yeah.
And I think it's just smarter to keep your chips in, get a pick or two, some depth draft picks, see what's out there July 1st and what the new cap's set at, and then do your bargaining and see what you can really do July 1st. So I'm on board with it. Does it get us out of the first round now that Dallas is on a 10-game winning streak and has won 11 of their last 12? Because why wouldn't they?
Right.
I don't know, but we've at least got insurance policies so we don't have to panic if and when injuries happen.
Right. Goalie tandem, Wallstead hasn't been the Pink Floyd that he was. The Wall maybe a month ago or 8 weeks ago.
He'll be back.
But you're confident that wasn't a flash in the pan.
I think he hit the wall, and I think after the break he's rusty, as they all are. And all the Olympians from whatever country they represented have struggled the first week back. The timing's off, they're tired, and you got to be Quinn Hughes to get through it. Everybody else has been struggling, to be honest. But now it's back, and there's 28, between 19 and 21 games to go for the league. Buckle up, here it comes.
It's going to be fun. I mean, it's we haven't been in this position with this much excitement for a while. We get excited every year, but it's been disappointing come playoff time where it's been an early exit. I think there's just a little bit more fire in the belly for fans this year.
This is the truth. This is Suffer Soda. We are used to this, but with Quinnesota in play, and we got some depth to help us out. It's going to be a fun ride.
It is. And
bring on the stars.
And I think we're seeing Boldy. It's hard to believe he's only 24. I think we're seeing a superstar in the making.
Confidence has lifted him the last year. It's unreal.
Yeah, I think he's let's face it, he's got a good team around him. And now adding Quinn Hughes, that's obviously his scoring's not going to go down.
Right.
But I just think that he's a top 10 player, I think. Could be a top 10 player over the next 4 or 5 years.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely.
And I don't think he kind of gets lost in the mix a little bit with 97 and now with 43. But he's legit, man.
Let's do what we can, Mr. Guerin. All the chips in one more time this summer, and let's save that kid in Ottawa, center Tim Stutzla. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Well, we'll see what happens come summertime. Until then, we're going to watch what the Wild do here this rest of this winter, this spring. April's a huge month, and certainly exciting times here for hockey in Minnesota. We are at the state tournament right now. It is semifinal Friday. We're at the Let's Play Hockey Expo. You won't hear this podcast until after this is all said and done and all over. We cannot wait to watch tonight's games, and then Saturday night is championship day. With Class A, we got Hibbing Chisholm, and I don't know what the score is of that Delano game. What do you got for a score? Oh, all right. Warroad's up 3-2.
Warroad's on the march?
Warroad scored 3 unanswered, so
oh boy,
we'll see if it's going to be an all-northern final or if we're going to get a North versus the Metro.
Best logo there is. End of story.
Well, everybody loves Warroad. Everybody likes the northern team, but if it's Hibbing Chisholm against Warroad,
oh, that's beautiful.
It's awesome.
I ran into some Hibbing folks in the elevator after I parked, and they're the nicest people ever. Fair. They know their hockey. It's been since 72 or 3?
73.
Let's get Hibbing a title. All respect to Warroad. If they win, that's great. What more could you want but Hibbing Warroad?
Absolutely. Doesn't get any better than that down here at the State High School Hockey Tournament at Let's Play Hockey Expo. We are going to go enjoy the expo. We're going to watch some hockey tonight. Thanks for tuning in. Like I said, this is tape delayed, so you will have all the answers that we don't have right now. But just a reminder, Holler and Bonin were 7 for 8, but Zollman was 8 for 8 on his picks. I mean, top 4 seeds all got through.
Yeah.
So I mean,
we're not soothsayers.
Yeah.
And whatever happens the rest of the weekend, we'll definitely have a pod and rip on ourselves about it.
Absolutely. So until then, enjoy the tournament, and we will talk soon. Signing off here at the Let's Play Hockey Expo. It's the Let's Play Hockey podcast with Tom Holler and Brian Bonin. Thanks for listening, and we'll talk soon.
Brian says thanks.
Yeah. They could never ever check me. Make a play like I was Gretzky. Shades on and I'm messed up. If you play with me, it get messy. Got it popping off a no two. Now people acting like I owe you. Breaking necks as I roll through. They treating you like you road news. Yeah, they know my name when I walk in the building. Yeah, making a name, there ain't no better feeling. Yeah, keep it pushing, I ain't rolling over. Neck ice like Minnesota. Flip the script like Motorola. They hated on me for a long time before I had some motion.